My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Spider Man. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But this is a very important movie to me. I remember back in May 2002, I was 5 years old, and I saw this movie in theaters, and it just blew my mind. Like, it instantly became my favorite movie ever. And the thing is, it also scared the shit out of me. So apparently, whenever the Green Goblin showed up on screen, I covered my head with a popcorn bucket because I was so scared. And I saw this movie like 3 or 4 times in theaters. And I guess every time my head was covered by a popcorn bucket for half the movie. But this movie was my childhood. I was obsessed with it growing up. I listened to Hero by Nickelback all the time, and still to this day, I love this movie. It holds up significantly well, so let's begin by talking about the cast and characters. And Tobey Maguire will always be my favorite Peter Parker because he just seems like a genuine dorky guy. He seems like a nerd. He seems like a loser. But that said, he can also be tough and badass when needed. So he's able to strike that perfect balance, and I love how sincere and funny he can be at moments. And I just thought he carried this movie incredibly well and delivered in every single possible way. And I love the way Peter is written in this movie because you can tell he has a good home life with Aunt May and Uncle Ben, but he gets picked on at school. He is not a popular guy, but then he's given these incredible abilities. And he just doesn't know what to do with them at first. Is he going to use them to impress Mary Jane? Is he going to use them to get money? And it's not until he loses Uncle Ben and remembers the last conversation they had where he decides to become a hero. And I love how Uncle Ben motivates him and how Mary Jane keeps motivating him throughout the movie to be a hero. But that said, being a hero comes with its cost, and that puts your loved ones at risk. And I love how he has to learn the difficult aspects of it. And I just thought Peter was a fully realized character brought to life perfectly by Tobey Maguire. And then we get Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane, and I thought she did a great job. I actually think this character is far more complicated than people give her credit for, because the thing is, yes, Mary Jane is a very pretty girl, and yes, she's popular, but she lives in an abusive house. And she's just looking for someone to see her for who she really is. She's looking for real love. And I love how she eventually finds it with Peter. Because Peter sees Mary Jane for who she truly is, only for him to reject her at the end because he doesn't want her to get hurt. So it's like a perfect tragic love story. And one scene I love in this movie is when Mary Jane and Peter are talking, and they're talking about their hopes and dreams. But then Mary Jane's boyfriend shows up with a new car, And it's like this Valley Girl persona instantly kicks in. And that's the side of her that she chooses to show everybody. So, yes, great character, great performance. Then we get Willem Dafoe, who is so good as the Green Goblin. I'll be honest though, I do prefer his performance in No Way Home. But he is still great in this movie. Like, he's unhinged, he's menacing, but he's also really campy and funny at times. Um, One of my favorite scenes in this movie is when he's talking to Peter at the end, and he's just like, I would never hurt you, Peter. It was the goblin. And then the glider attacks Peter, and he jumps out of the way, and Norman is just like, oh, and gets stabbed. Like, it's a really dark, tragic moment, but I'll be lying if I didn't say that I laughed every single time. And I also love the way this character is written. Well, he's just driven to extreme measures by the people who he does business with. So, like, even this rich, successful guy still has pressures put on him. And I love the split personality angle of this character. That meal scene is so cool, and it terrified me as a kid. And also, another scene that terrified me as a kid is when he attacks Aunt May when she's doing the Lord's Prayer, and he's just like, finish it! Finish it! That scene scared me shitless. Then we get James Franco as Harry Osborn, and I thought he did a really good job here. I like how this is a character who is trying to get his dad's approval, but he also lives in his dad's shadow. And I do like the fact that Peter has his dad's approval. So there's a little bit of Harry that resents him. And Harry knows that Peter loves MJ, but he still asks her out. There's some good character drama here, and I do kind of like the fact that Harry really only asks out MJ because she's pretty and he wants to impress his dad. It's not a real loving relationship. So I just love how all these four main characters have their own struggles. Then we get Cliff Robertson, who just gives the perfect Uncle Ben performance. Just a really sincere, heartfelt performance where every line delivery is just perfect. Rosemary Harris also does a really terrific job as well. And then we get J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. And this is iconic casting, this is perfect casting, and he fully delivers. He's barely in this movie, but he leaves a huge impression. He's hilarious, he's filled with personality, and I also love how when push comes to shove, he doesn't give up Peter to the Goblin. So, like, he might hate Spider-Man, but deep down, you can tell that he's a good person. Bill Nunn, Ted Raimi, Elizabeth Banks, barely in this movie, but they still stand out. And Randy Savage and Bruce Campbell have minimal screen time, but they're still really funny here. So the cast just fully delivers, but so does Sam Raimi. His direction elevates this movie in every sense, and the web slinging here looks remarkable. Like, it has energy, it has momentum, and it's just so perfectly captured. There was some really inventive camera work on display. The editing is stylish. The movie is perfectly paced. It's less than 2 hours long, and it just flies by, has plenty of depth, and is always entertaining. I love the opening credits to this movie. Just sets the tone ever so perfectly, and Danny Elfman's score is iconic. Like, I actually don't think these movies get the credit they deserve when it comes to the score. Just truly remarkable work. Um, the CGI looks great. Like, I know this movie came out in 2002, but it still holds up. The sound is really great. I love that one scene where Peter enters the wrestling arena and it's quiet as he walks up the stairs, and then as soon as he gets to the top, the crowd, the sound, it kicks in then. Just really effective filmmaking. And I love the costume design. Like, the outfit of Spider Man is perfect. No notes. Like, this is the best the character ever will look on the big screen. And I like the mecha suit of the Green Goblin as well. So just everything about the direction really works for me, and there's some really great action here. I love that one scene early on of Peter fighting Flash and how he's learning his abilities, he's learning what he's capable of, and then at first he's excited, but then he looks at Mary Jane and he's just like, oh, what have I done? I love that one scene where Peter is chasing down Uncle Ben's killer. That's a really exciting and effective moment. Oh, the wrestling match is really great as well. The Unity Fail fight is terrific. I love how there's stakes with Mary Jane on the verge of falling off. I love how the little kid almost gets crushed by the balloon. And I love how Peter jumps from one balloon to another just to get attacked by the goblin, and he still manages to save Mary Jane just in the nick of time. Perfect. The burning building scene is really terrific. That jump scare terrified me as a kid, and I love the razors that the goblin throws at him. And the climax on the Queensboro Bridge is really terrific as Peter tries to save everybody. But it's the final fight of this movie that stands above every other scene. Because I love just how brutal it is. Like, Peter is getting the shit kicked out of him. He is bleeding, he's getting blown up, his costume is falling apart, and you feel the weight of it. And I love how he's only then motivated by the goblin being like, MJ and I, we're gonna have a hell of a time. And then he catches his spiel. Just give me a break. This entire section is so good. It's still one of my favorite action scenes in any comic book movie because it is just so brutal and so good. And I love how emotional this movie can be. Uncle Ben's and Peter's final conversation, well, Uncle Ben says the famous lines, with great power comes great responsibility, only for Peter to get upset at him and to remind him that he's not his father. Oh man, that has weight. And then when Peter finds Uncle Ben and he's dying and he holds onto his hand, it's so good. It really is. And how after graduation, he's just in shock about everything that has happened, and he's just crying about how much he misses his uncle and how that motivates him to be a hero. Like, this movie is just so good. And I love how the New Yorkers protect Spidey at the end of this movie. And I just love how sincere and heartfelt it is throughout. Like, even when Peter and MJ are talking in the hospital, like, some people might find it cringy. I don't. I love the sincerity of it. I love how romantic this movie can be. The upside down kiss is just an iconic moment. And oh, I also love when Peter's outside the burning building and the cops like, get him. And then Peter's like, he's like, go! I'll be here when you come back. And Peter's like, I'm not coming back, Chief. Go, go! Just so many terrific moments throughout, and this is the perfect origin story because we see the characters before everything happens. We get to know them. We see Peter get his abilities and how he struggles with them and how he learns to use them. Like that scene when he climbs up the wall still gives me goosebumps all these years later. And go Web! Fly! Up and away, Web! Shazam! That's a great scene. I love how we actually see him draw and plan out the costume in advance. And yeah, like this movie just fully delivers in every single possible way. Like, the cast is excellent. The characters have depth. The movie is filled with exciting and inventive filmmaking. The action is terrific. The movie can be funny. The movie has emotion. It's romantic. It's sincere and heartfelt. And it's just the perfect introduction to this character. It's one of the best superhero movies ever made, so I'm giving Spider-Man a 9 out of 10. And it ends with Hero by Nickelback, which I listened to so much as a kid, and it's still a great song. But Spider-Man, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.